Welcome back, everyone, to the August North America Open. I'm Kubi, joined by Gillyweed and Solid Jake on analysis. We're going to be moving into our next match in the upper bracket. It's going to be between compLexity Gaming and Cloud9, two very, very strong teams. We've seen compLexity have a lot of great results moving forward, so I'm very excited to see what these two teams are going to be bringing today.
And we would love to hear who you guys think will be advancing forward. Get on Twitter, use the hashtag HeroesWC, and of course, use the hashtag for the team that you think will advance forward.
And we want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. Heroes of the Storm North America Road to BlizzCon is brought to you by our official hardware partners Gigabyte and NVIDIA.
And congratulations to Donald Bird and Michael Wright. They have each won an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 950 graphics card. And if you guys want a chance at winning, go on over to esl.gg/AugustNAOpen. Good luck.
Have fun. That's like
know, right?
Star Fox.
I know, that's what I'm going for. I'm so glad you caught it, yes. All right, but I don't think we should delay any further. Let's get into that draft for our second upper bracket match between compLexity and Cloud9. The battleground is going to be Tomb of the Spider Queen.
And Johanna once again getting banned out here now. Of course, this is the strongest battleground for Asmodan, but to ban Johanna here is quite peculiar.
We've been seeing a few more Johanna first bans, and that's pretty interesting. Zeratul, a lot more standard that we've been seeing quite a bit. Cloud9 not wanting to give that to compLexity. They perhaps saw Jaximus playing him earlier, and it was pretty scary.
For sure, Jaximus did make a lot of very good plays, so kudos to him. And that's, good part of the reason that compLexity has gotten this far, but we have the Kaeyoh, the first pick for compLexity. We haven't seen a whole lot of him today, and when we have, it has been very devastating. That new Living Bomb build, so strong.
Yeah, it's incredible how much he's been banned lately. Really prioritized nearly over Jaina now, and that's really interesting to see. Another very top pick from Cloud9. We're going to see Leoric. They should be coming out with one more, and maybe we will see that Jaina right here.
Yeah, we had the very interesting build from them last time they were on this battleground. It was all about that disengage, constantly pushing with the Abathur. They haven't picked it up quite early this time. We'll have to see if compLexity is also looking to grab that kind of strategy. Felt like Abathur was so heavily contested in the early part of the day, and just teams are all of a sudden, no. Oh, there he is. As I speak, I just did. compLexity is going to grab the Abathur.
But they could still grab the Jaina here, and Fire and Ice, it's a very powerful thing to have, but they're going for Nazeebo. We live in a very strange world, my friends, where Jaina is less commonly picked than Nazeebo and Abathur. Now, Zebo, I get it, right? Zebo is phenomenal in this patch, but the Abathur is really cool just because of how it's really changing the playstyles. Melee Assassin's becoming a little bit more viable. Double Warrior is incredibly common in this meta, and it pairs so well with them.
Guys, we're entering the age of the specialist. Look at this. Zagara, Abathur, and Nazeebo picked up before the second ban phase. Cloud9... Is this the second time that they've banned an Illidan?
Yeah, we have seen Illidan taken out quite a few times. Still not quite picked up just yet. And I'm surprised to see that they really feel like the Abathur Illidan combo is just so strong. Haven't even seen it played yet, but especially with the cleanse changes, I would say if there's any melee assassins, probably not Illidan that's going to be so strong. But Cloud9 feels otherwise.
Yeah, and they're going to ban out Asmund, and this is very smart here. This is the strongest battleground for that hero, the playstyle. I mean, it's so easy to farm up the Taste for Blood, and it pairs very well with the Orc. So just get him out of here, deny some of that damage. Cloud9 is actually going to end up picking up that Jaina for the damage.
Well, we finally see Jaina and Zagara together. That's already a lot of damage coming out, even from Leoric too. And they have one last pick. It's going to be Sylvanas. So yet another specialist here, and they're going to have fantastic lane presence.
Yes, they will. With that, the vision that Zagara provides, plus just being able to shut down the structures with Sylvanas and just have that incredible wave push, it is going to be something that compLexity will have to deal with for sure. They have Abathur. Yes, that does provide quite a bit of lane presence as well, but it's such a small map, and it's easier for Zagara and Sylvanas to rotate safely than it will be for Abathur to set up a position that has to be responded to.
But they're going to pick up Murden. Look at the lockdown that's available right now. They have Stormbolt, they do have the Zombie Wall, and of course, Gravity Lapse on Kaeyoh. That's a ton of power. So it's Zagara, Jaina, Sylvanas, if any of them get caught out of position, it's going to be very dicey for them.
compLexity have one more pick, and it will be Malfurion, so more lockdown with the Tenacious Roots, as they're going to be able to throw down a zombie wall and then have those roots underneath it, or they can do it off of the Stormbolt too. Lots of different options that they do have. But Cloud9 also have a really great team fight set up so far. If you maybe start off with that Devouring Maw, and then as soon as they come out, you've got Wailing Arrow, you've got all of the AoE damage from Jaina, and then on top of that, March of the Black King potentially, or even in Tomb to keep everyone in there while they're taking that damage. That's pretty frightening.
For sure, and we're actually in a situation where Cloud9 now has to spend a lot of resources actually to deal with Ravenous Spirit, that being Maw or the Wailing Arrow. Wailing Arrow probably the more likely choice in order to deal with that, but Maw, the reach on it isn't that far, and if the positioning is strong for Nazeebo, that could be a huge factor in this next game.
But still, if you're forcing out that Wailing Arrow just to stop the Ravenous, I mean, it's already a win.
Yep. Yes, it is, especially when we were talking about the potential for those wombo combos with the Maw. We'll find out if that plays a big role in game number 1 of this upper bracket semifinals. On the left side, we have compLexity. Blinks is going to be on the Malfurion. Caterpillar will be playing the Murd, and Hans on Abathur. Jacksonus will be playing Kael'thas, and Trummel will be playing the Nazeebo.
And on the other side of this very small battleground, we have Cloud9, with Dunk Train playing Uther Fan on Sylvanas, King Caffeine playing Leoric, Zagara will be played by iDream, and rounding it out, K1 Pro on one of his favorites, Jaina.
Okay, we're already seeing the start of a Toxic Nest style build, which is something that has been picking up quite a bit more popularity. Stormbolt for the Muradin, looking just to try to get that extra control and wave push, so they need to be able to counter that. Abathur will help. It's going to be all about the wave push from both sides.
Yeah, on the other side, of course, we do have Sylvanas and Zagara. Zagara did get the Reconstitution, very standard build there. And we have our talent choice, as she'll be trying to make sure that she has creep spread as much as possible, so if she does get caught out by something like all of the stuns that compLexity have, she can very quickly move away.
Okay, so we do see some heavy rotations to start things off for Cloud9. They're feeling very confident with the map pressure. They're just trying to establish once more that space for Zagara. She's pushed out. And if they're putting the pressure on, even if it's not in that same lane, they know that they have control over where the remaining members of compLexity are.
Absolutely. So they're going to be moving between mid and top, trying to grab as many gems as they can in this early game, hoping to get a takedown on compLexity. But compLexity is playing very safely. You notice they're very close, each of the members, to their gates, not stepping out too far. They really know that the rotation is a possibility.
Trying to get that early lead with the Sylvanas pushing forward, and again, the rotation's quite strong. They are really trying to establish, making sure that they have that map objective under control, leave Zagara to her methods in the bottom lane, trying to make sure that they get the push there. And if they have that grasp, that stranglehold on what the rest of compLexity is looking to do. Jacksonus now under a little bit of pressure, trying to escape behind the wall. I think he will be able to get out. Yes, the Blizzard not quite able to pick up that first takedown of the game.
Now, this rotation's working for now, but you do notice the Toxic Nests are constantly being placed in the areas where they're rotating in. It does at least dismount them. Later on, if they pick up the level 7 talent, I think it's Vile Nest that slows them down, those rotations are going to get a lot more difficult to do.
Yeah, it's over 50% slow, and considering how often they can throw out those nests if they're in the good spots. Yes, K1 Pro getting tagged once more, and there's so many vents, places that these teams need to rotate through. Cloud9, yeah, that could be a big way that compLexity looks to try to get control over these rotations.
It's also nice that they'll have the vision on the rotations too if they run through, so it's kind of counter to the creep tumors that iDream will be putting out for vision there. Now we do have level 4 talents coming in for Cloud9 as 2 Envenomed and Envenomed Spines.
Yeah, that's very interesting. We don't see that all that often, so double Envenom, it's an ability that took a little bit of a hit a couple patches ago. Does take the full 10 seconds now to throw out that additional damage, but it is guaranteed damage that gets thrown over time. Very strong in the early game.
Oh, Gravity Lapse is going down on Sylvanas. Will Fan be able to get away? Haunting Wave goes out, ensuring his safety. Wraithwalk making sure that Caffeine also can get out.
Very well done, but just take note of the position that Cloud9 has had the whole time. Has compLexity even been able to step out past the halfway point of the map? This might actually turn that around. King Caffeine gets taken out. That is going to be the Leoric out shortly. And of course, it is the early game. He will be able to get back in thanks to his trait, being able to march back into the fight. But still, that is a good sign for compLexity. That's the type of play we need to see out of them so that they can battle back, get some of that map control, because Zagara is starting to be a huge pain in that bottom lane.
Yeah, and instantly we saw Muradin come down to the bottom. He's trying to give Nazeebo a bit of a break. He had to go back there. And you see Cattle already trying to get rid of these creep tumors. It's already an issue in the bottom, nearly covering the entire bottom lane, also giving vision over that bottom turn-in point. Up at the top turn-in though, Jackson is in a lot of trouble, once again has to go back behind his gate, and this means there's a large push on the structures here from Cloud9.
Yeah, even without the web weavers at this point in time, level very close for both teams. We're seeing that the Abathur, of course, is going to see a lot more of that utility later on. With Kaeyoh, what heroic do you think they're going to go for at this point?
I would hope for Pyroblast, because that would be amazing, but I think it probably will be Phoenix still, as it's very good for zoning. Wow.
Okay, so you guys have spoken, and you are feeling that Cloud9 is going to be the favorite here, a 75% advantage for them. We'll see if that remains true. compLexity surely will have something to say about that, and we see Cattle looking to try to move forward, to try to get some control over these tumors that have been put forward. But no, we see the response from Cloud9. They just can't seem to get out on the map at all, and the red web weavers are going to be moving forward. This is just, it's no surprise to see this based on how much control vision that they have had over these turn-in spots.
Yeah, it's even more pressure, and already Zagara and Sylvanas are putting it down. We have level 7-2 for Cloud9, compLexity picking up as well. And oh man, already towers down in bottom here as one will fall. They're sticking with these web weavers, but the stuns are coming in.
Okay, hold on a second. iDream gets put into those zombie walls, so there's split pressure from both sides. I don't think he's going to get taken out. Actually, we've seen Nazeebo is very, very low, is able to get back out, so a lot of pressure from Cloud9 being put into this bottom lane.
Yeah, and with the Sylvanas here, normally you wouldn't see with these early web weavers trying to go after fort, but they can do it because they can lock down that fort with the black arrow. So they're putting a ton of pressure on it. It's very close to being taken down. They're trying, compLexity trying to push Cloud9 back where they can here. The Stormbolt goes down on Sylvanas, who's going to Haunting Wave straight away.
Such confident positioning from Fan, realizing that even a couple stuns could be the means of death for him, but is able to get the Haunting Wave out, no problem, trying to get the most out of that push. They're really making a great use out of the objective on this battleground.
Now we've got some interesting talents coming out so far. Once again, we're seeing the Holy Radiance build for Uther with Boundless Conviction and Wave of Light. So no cleanse there, no cleanse for Malfurion either though. Blinks went ahead and picked up the Enduring Growth. So they're going to both be focusing on the healing, not so much going to be worrying about the lockdown from either side.
Okay, they don't quite have enough gems, but they're in position to do this. 88 gems available for compLexity. They just need the opportunity to get in there to turn them in. Cloud9 thinking otherwise, really trying to contain control of that. They're saying, we don't ever want to see those blue web weavers out on the battleground at this point, and the pressure in the bottom lane is going to force some rotations. Actually, I think they might have the opportunity to turn in the top lane, and that stun, the gravity lapse, that means Kaeyoh will be able to get his gems turned in. Jackson still needs to get in there.
22 turned in so far, 73, and Baylings take down the bottom fort. It's the first major structure to drop here, and I think we'll start seeing Cloud9 rotating around. With that, they also picked up their heroic abilities.
Yes, we did. We have the Divine Shield, the Entomb Maw, Wailing Arrow, and the Water Elemental, all the heroics that we expected to see. The Entomb Maw combo seems to be popping up more and more and can provide so much control. It did wonders for them in their upper bracket round of 8 match. We'll see if they can pull off that type of execution once more.
There is no rest for compLexity. They wanted to get the turn in, but it's Cloud9 who will get another one, moving in once again toward, this time, the middle lane, already taking down towers before the web weavers have even gotten to the structures.
Okay, but this means the heroics are now going to be around the corner for compLexity. They've just picked them up. We're going to see the Tranquility, the Ravenous Spirit once more, Ultimate Evolution, the Avatar, and the Phoenix.
Oh, I'm wondering what the Ultimate Evolution will go on, who they will be looking to duplicate, make a clone of. But for now, they're having a heck of a time with this defense here. The gate has fallen. They're throwing out the Phoenix, the Flame Strike onto it just to try to take it out, and looks like Cloud9 will not be able to get this fort, but up top is a different story.
This is just such a slow roll for Cloud9. They're peeling compLexity apart, and it's almost as if they're trying to wait for the late game. Sure, Kaeyoh gets quite a bit stronger with those Living Bomb upgrades, but it's not quite the same burst strength that we saw in the previous patch with the Flamethrower Ignite. So, you know, they have to make a play at some point, and, you know, Abathur, he's going to have some control, some presence on the map, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
No, I would totally agree with you. And in fact, here in bottom, Abathur's been trying to deal with this web weaver, but it's already starting to put pressure on the keep structures now. Cloud9 rotating back to mid, throwing some more damage on the fort, which is completely exposed to a future push from Cloud9.
Okay, providing control once more. They're just making sure as soon as it's available for compLexity to turn in, they're putting that representation there. And we see the Caffeine just trying to keep eyes on this. This has got to be so frustrating for compLexity at this point. 93 gems to their name, and they can't get even their hands on that turn-in spot.
Yeah, they're constantly having to deal with pushes. All of the lanes are pushed right up to their structures. They would love to be able to turn in. 96 is frightening for a team fight, and they know that they're behind a level in experience. So they only have a window of time where they're going to be on the same level to fight, but they don't really want to get in a fight because if they lose that many gems, that's going to be heartbreaking.
Still have the creep being a complete nuisance as well, providing that vision, and it just makes it so difficult for them to rotate around. We see the Flame Strike being thrown out, just trying to get some kind of handle on this. Abathur really just trying to defend in that top lane. What do you think compLexity really needs to do to get out there on the map to make a statement?
I think they definitely need to try to get creep cleared, which is so difficult. They need to get 13 and get caught back up in levels at least, because Cloud9 is going to be there soon. But I think it all starts with a turn-in. If they can somehow get a turn-in, that will help that lane pressure. That's when they can start moving into those turn-in points and clearing out the creep, getting some of making it so that Cloud9 won't see their every single move.
Okay, it looks as though they've decided that Nazeebo is going to be the copy. They realize this is just before level 13. They need to make a stand. They're trying to get the turn in. Jacksonus has more than enough gems to get this. We see the Maw being thrown out. Is it going to provide enough control? And that's a lot of damage being thrown out. We are going to see the Malfurion taken out right away. Kaeyoh has to leave the battle. Hans, that is just the Abathur clone is being taken out. The Ravenous Spirit, is it enough to turn this around? No, the Divine Shield is going to be enough. Cloud9 will be able to back up. Blue Web Weaver summoned all throughout this, but you know, it's a loss. They have Malfurion down. Are they going to be able to do anything with this push? We have mercenary camps pushing down the middle lane. What are they going to do?
What stinks is that it's going to basically be just defensive web weavers. Yes, they lost some gems from Malfurion, but at least they do have enough for another turn-in. But once again, they're going to find themselves trying to deal with getting a turn-in somewhere where Cloud9 still has a ton of vision. These web weavers are falling so incredibly fast. Top is falling. There was no push to even help it. It's not even going to get towers down.
It just comes down to that map control. Once more, they just can't seem to get a grasp on it, and with the web weavers out, like you were mentioning, because Cloud9 has that control, they're just unable to get anything done with it. The last remaining one in this mid lane, they're trying to make a last stand here. Caffeine going in to represent has that incredible wave clear that Leoric is known for. We see the Phoenix being thrown out, so they're getting some work done, but the rotations, the flanks from the other side, they're getting quite scary.
They did at least get the towers down, and that means they've picked up level 13 finally, so they're going to be able to fight on the same level. They've got the same talents, and we've got still 76 gems on compLexity, so they're not out of the water yet. They have to still get another turn-in.
For sure, even though it feels like they didn't get a whole lot done with that last set of turn-ins because they had stockpiled so many, this can be another quick successive turn-in for them. They have the 32 in just now. Are they going to be able to get the remaining members? Blink's actually a little bit out of position. We see the Entomb being thrown down. That's a lot of damage, and once more, the Tranquility at the last second as well. That's a really unfortunate waste, and we see the Ravenous Spirit trying to provide some counter pressure. Dunk Train is going to be able to get out. I think at the last second does have the Divine Shield. If he needs to use it, doesn't even need to pop that as well. So we're going to see the Malfurion once more out of position, gets taken out really quick. The Maw, actually, a great counter pressure. Cattle in a very good spot. The Maw, hopefully, you think he was hoping to try to use that to his escape. Didn't end up panning out so well. So compLexity battling back.
Yeah, they've traded 1 for 1. That's definitely something they wanted, but unfortunately for them, they had to back off. They were all fairly low, and Cloud9 are going to start to turn in their gems. They're getting pretty close to another turn-in, which would undo all of the work that compLexity did get done with that one turn-in they had. They really need to get a second one in a row to really start to deal damage to the structures of Cloud9. Cloud9 still has all of their forts. Okay,
this is a great turning point for compLexity. They have another turn-in. Zagara is down for a while. This is an opportunity for them, again, to get back out onto the battleground, control, peel back some of that creep, and really start putting a bit of pressure on. But there's a little bit of a timer. They need to make something happen before Cloud9 gets to level 16. That's going to be a big power swing for them.
Absolutely. They do have 13. I've noticed that Nazeebo did grab Thing of the Deep, so it's going to be a bit easier for him to throw out his basic abilities because the range is increased on that. So they've got that, plus the range increase from a Loon's Grace on Malfurion means it's going to be really nice for them to be able to capitalize on something like a stun. They can throw those out without getting so far forward.
Thing of the Deep, yeah, it's a nice pickup, but it has been about the Malfurion's position in a lot of these. He's the only hero that has been taken out on the side of complexity, so they have to be careful. I understand that Cloud9 is prioritizing that. The Tranquility is such a powerful ability, but they're going to have to make sure that they're protecting Blinks a little bit more.
Yeah, they really are burning him down so fast between the Sylvanas and the Jaina and Zagara even too. Now we are starting to get a push in. Complexity to getting some towers down. Not quite going to be able to maybe pick up that fort here, but they are at least getting the web weavers, their lanes pushed all the way back to the structures, rotating down, looks into the bottom, trying to maybe push in and get these last towers.
It seems like it just bought them a little bit of time, but level 16 is here. They haven't gotten a single fort taken down, so we are going to see that benediction, a very, very strong ability for Uther, is able to chain a few stuns together. Actually a stone skin for Zagara, so not opting to grab that second charge of the Mutalisk. We see the blood for blood, and it's either going to be that numbing frost or the northern exposure for Jaina.
So no cold embrace there. We're going to have that blood for blood, looking for more sustainability on that Sylvanas, but it does sacrifice that vulnerability. But they've been in control of this game, so I don't think they're worrying about having that. And in fact, hey, complexity battling back both in this game a bit, but also in the polls. Don't forget, you guys can still vote if you want using the hashtag HeroesWC and the team name hashtag of your choice.
That's right, but we have another set of web weavers pushing forward. The pressure is back onto complexity. They have the level 16 now, so they can try to battle back. That's when we see the leaping spiders. It's going to be a big deal. More of those locust ability pickups and just more survival. We actually have the arcane barrier on Kaeyoh, something we haven't seen a whole lot of today. There you guys can see the talents that have been picked up for them, and that is actually the hardened focus, so even more heals out of Malfurion if he can stay alive long enough.
Right, and he has been the problem, right? Like, he's been the one that Cloud9 has been focusing. So an interesting pickup there still. They feel like they can keep him safe enough that he will have that, and they need to have more heals from that. I'm really excited to see the Locust build, but the problem with that is you really need your team to start like taking down a lane, pushing it, and then you kind of have the constant pressure from the Locust, and so far that's been an issue for complexity.
You can feel the difference in the utility that each team is getting out of the objective. Every single time Cloud9 gets a turn and gets the web weavers pushing, they take walls out, they take forts out, they take the keep walls out, they make a huge movement towards the enemy's core. Every single time complexity has been able to grab it, they're barely getting any work done. So Cloud9 has just had the impeccable defense, the great offense, and it's just how they drafted with the Zagara, the Sylvanas, that has been imperative in how they've been making use of these objectives.
Oh, absolutely. Complexity has been on the back foot this entire game, and they are trying to battle back there once again, pretty close in terms of experience. They're working on continuing that by trying to push back some lanes a little bit here, but the pressure from Cloud9 is on, and they have close to a turn-in. They're going to be looking to get another one of those, maybe even look toward getting a takedown so that they could go for boss 2. Jacksonville
trying to sneak another turn in as well. They do have enough, so both teams very close to getting that next set of web weavers. It looks as though we have another fight brewing. Hans is going to be choosing that Nazebo once more as the clone target, and they're backing up. Cloud9 knows this is on a limited timer. More than half of it has been used up at this point, and they realize if we can just wait this out, we will have an advantage in a potential team fight.
Yeah, I like that Complexity is trying to use the ultimate evolution as a way to try to push back Cloud9 while they get the turn-ins. It worked for them last time, it's not working for them this time, and now it's down for 43 more seconds.
Look at this, they've turned this around. As soon as it's out, we see the water elemental being thrown out. Jacksmith is getting slowed. We see the Phoenix being thrown down to try to disengage with the rotation in the back line. We see the Maw, the Entomb. Is it going to be enough? Are they going to be able to put pressure onto Trummel? That Ravenous Spirit is getting a lot done in the back line. Cattle getting healed up from Blinks. Was not picked off early enough in this team fight. Kaeyoh has already been taken out. That's going to be a lot of power lost for Complexity moving forward. Caffeine still putting that pressure onto the back line.
No, Kaeyoh here, and Blinks has to be careful. He's trying to get away. He's already used Ice Block. The Symbiote will go on top of him, and he's getting away. Stuns going down on Caffeine, trying to get out of there, has the Wraith Block, and will be able to do so. Complexity not able to pick up a takedown in that fight.
Okay, a good disengage. Still, though, they did lose the Kaeyoh, and that's just more map control that is being relinquished from Complexity. That's going to be another turn, and they have 15 gems to their name right now, and that means that Complexity is going to be faced with pressure on their keeps, not something that they wanted to see at this point.
Look at that lane clear from Fan. It's so incredible with that unstable poison. It's just instantly you can go up, oh, there's a big minion push, okay, never mind, and then just take it out really, really fast, and there it is. The red web weavers once again. Cloud9 one level away from their Storm tier talents. compLexity only just almost 18, and more pressure being put onto their structures. This could easily be a keep if they're not careful.
Yeah, are they going to retain what seems to be the pattern? They've gotten so much done thus far with these web weavers, or are they going to try to play it safe? Like you mentioned, they're so close to getting to those Storm talents. That could be a big, it will be a big power spike for the team, and they might not want to try to overextend at all, because that could be a great opportunity for compLexity to get back in. A couple heroes drop down, they suddenly even up the talent tiers, and things can get really scary for Cloud9.
Yeah, they could just sit back behind the web weavers in the lanes and then just soak the experience where they can. They've gotten some there. The zombie wall not connecting on Zagara. They're going to just try to push the lane. So they've got the mid pushed fairly far forward, but the web weaver has fallen there. They're working their way toward top. There are still a tower standing here, so that could give them more experience, getting them closer to 20.
Abathur just feels like has been such a non-issue for Cloud9 this whole time, whereas Zagara and Sylvanas have done so much more with their ability to push forward. And with these web weavers split pushing across the entire battleground, it feels just so impossible for compLexity to respond to. And while all this has been going on, they are very, very close to those Storm talents.
And Cattle is a little bit forward, trying to push away Cloud9, and they will move away. Like you mentioned before, they don't want to engage before they're 20. They know they'll have the big advantage there. But what I really love from Cloud9 in this game, and from lots of games from Cloud9, is they are so fantastic with their rotations, and they really just show that with that web weaver phase, moving up, moving back mid, and then all the while distracting from that bottom web weaver, which got a serious amount of damage done to the remaining structures in front of that keep.
The instant those web weavers fall, we already see Fan and K1 Pro rotating to the bottom lane. They want to continue this pressure. They have the Giants pushing forward, and that is going to be the moment which we see these Storm talents picked up. It's going to be 2 bolts of the Storm for Sylvanas and Jaina, and also Zagara as well, so it's going to be even more difficult for them to lock down those damage dealers in the back line. We have the Hardened Shield for Leoric and the Redemption. They're going for boss. Gilly.
They are. They've got level 20. They have their Storm tier talents. compLexity, though, they already realize it. They say, where are they? They're not on the battleground. That means that they're up here, and we're going to see Cloud9 leash it. Stormbolt goes down into the gravity lats on top of Uther. Dunk Train now stuck in the zombie wall. Caffeine still up here with the boss, is going to have to Wraith walk away. They got to leash this.
We haven't seen the use of the ultimate evolution yet, so they're not looking to try to pick this fight. They have pulled Cloud9 off of this, but the silence goes down into trouble, and he's going to get taken out. Blinks a little bit too late, and the Maw, is this going to secure the takedown on their healer? Blinks is going to get taken out. He gets a lot, but he still has the Tranquility up, uses the Ice Block, trying to get out. Caffeine moves forward onto Jaximus, doesn't have level 20 yet. There's no bolt available. Hans, is he a little bit too late with this ultimate evolution? Dunk Train moving forward, trying to provide even more pressure. He's got to be careful.
Living Bomb is nearly taken out Dunk Train, and Hans, with his last shot on the evolution, will take out Uther, but he has Redemption.
Yes,
He's going to be right back up.
And Nazebo being picked off in that fight. Are they going to back up and try to take the boss? What is going to be the play? We can see the additional heroics, or the Storm talent here has been picked up. We have the Hive Mind, 2 bolts of the Storm, the Rewind for Murd, and another bolt available for Kaeyoh. Would have done wonders for him in that last battle, but you didn't quite have it there. Are they going to be able to turn things around now with these Storm talents?
It's going to help a lot versus the Entomb, having those bolts of the Storm. As long as they still have it up, it will be able to get away from that. But remember, Bolt of the Storm got changed in this patch.
Yes, it
the
did.
cooldown is a lot longer, I believe 40 to 70 seconds.
That's so much more. I mean, Bolt of the Storm, it felt like it was such a good tool to have in almost every fight. Now you have to be very, very picky about where it gets used. Additional turn-ins for Cloud9. They need 70, of course, as it scales up the more times you turn. And Cattle has 80 gems to his name. Dunk Train throwing out that wave of light at the last second. Are they going to be able to deny this? It feels like it might even be a little bit of an overextension. They don't. Blue Web Weavers on the map. They still have all of their keeps. Level 20 to both teams. I think this is the moment for compLexity to try to turn things around.
Yeah, if they're going to turn it around, this has to be it. They've caught back up in the talents. They haven't lost a keep yet. That's so incredibly important. Although they've been on the back foot, they've had a very good defense here. But it gets harder and harder because the Web Weavers have basically taken down all of the towers in each of those lanes. It's really open keeps in every single one.
Okay, trying to just make sure that they're not overextending. The death timers are very, very long at this point in time. Also, got to keep in mind, Uther, the cooldown on that Redemption is very, very long. I think it's 180 seconds, so they have to make sure they're picking and choosing the right moments. So they're backing up. With these Web Weavers out, they have to be careful.
They do, and they've still got plenty of places to go in for the attack as 2 forts are up. But at this point, I almost think that compLexity are saying we can't really afford at this point to go after forts. We need to keep structures damaged. We've got to start opening up an avenue so that we can start pushing in. And they did pick up Jaina, so that is a helpful to them in this siege, because for 60 more seconds, they don't have Jaina to help defend.
Yeah, that's a big amount of damage that has just been pulled out of the fight. They may even have to concede some of these structures, and what a turnaround that compLexity has just put forward. And when we see Hans making use of that ultimate evolution, you know that compLexity wants to go in. We see the Caffeine is trying to put some pressure onto that backline and is already having to use that Wraith Walk to get out.
That double zombie wall was so cool, just trying to zone out Cloud9, maybe try to get the takedown on Caffeine, or at least start putting more damage on the Keep. Now the ultimate evolution is done. It has been spent. The Keep, though, is still taking damage from the zombies about halfway down.
Okay, continuing to push forward. I don't think that they're looking to try to end the game at this point. They may not even be able to get a keep. It just depends on the rest of the defense. Jaina still another 15 seconds before she is back up. I think compLexity really needs to make a statement here. Not taking a keep would be a huge mistake.
They've got to get this keep. They've got the pressure still. They had it in the bottom, so they were at least distracting from that. They got the towers down there, but it's the keep that needs to fall here. They're trying so hard. They still, I think they're a little bit concerned about the fact that now Jaina is back up. They do still have several gems on them, so losing them would be very tough. But there it is, the sledgehammer, and it will go down. First keep in favor of compLexity.
I know, not something we would have expected considering how the first 23 minutes of the game have gone. Cloud9 all of a sudden feeling a lot of pressure. And, you know, Abathur, if you give him time, he's going to be able to put even more like that lane presence forward. So something that's going to have to be responded to even more. Now we have catapults pushing down this mid lane. They are going to be able to pick up the steal on these bruisers, even more pressure being put forward. compLexity all of a sudden turning this around.
What a great gravity lapse too on Lior, just ensuring that he can't get on the cap point, so the rest of it won't buy the rest of his team time to get in there and have a battle. Now compLexity, they do have 42 gems. They need 65, so they're not quite there yet, but they can at least get them turned in. And if they do that, then they can feel very confident about getting into a fight because they don't have to worry about losing those.
Giving Cloud9 a taste of their own medicine and say, yeah, you know, you were able to lock us out in terms of positioning for the first, you know, big portion of this game, but now all of a sudden we're the ones taking the mercenary camps. We're the ones with the control over this battleground right now. You have to respond to the pressure that we're putting forward.
Now, we do have not enough gems on either side for a turn-in. So both teams fairly passive here play as they're trying to pick those up and have something to push in on. But remember, Cloud9 also are having to deal with those catapults. They've also got giants in the bottom that they're dealing with. So for once, compLexity have put them on the back foot, and that means they're trying to maybe get a setup here around the boss.
Yeah, it looked like they were thinking about feinting the positioning, and if they have the start of the fight in their favor, yes, we see Caffeine moving up there just to try to get the check on that. Cattle. Jaximus, what is going to be the startup of the play? They're looking to put some pressure onto Sylvanas. We see the Divine Shield being thrown out. The Maw is going to be big, and the silence to follow up. Is it going to be enough to get the takedown? Yes, Kaeyoh ends up falling very early in this fight. We see the Ravenous in the backline. Is it going to be able to put enough pressure onto Cloud9? Dunk Train has to make sure he stays alive. He does have the redemption to make sure that he can get back into the fight shortly. Will be able to provide a lot of heals for Caffeine. We see the Bolt of the Storm being used to get out of the Entomb. Very well done, but that's still 2 heroes that are out for compLexity. Is this going to be a big turnaround in this late game for Cloud9? They're looking to take the boss.
I think it will be. They're going after the boss. They're unconcerned. Murden has fallen. Kaeyoh, a huge amount of damage dealing for compLexity, also will be out of this. They can pick this up. They can take down a keep of their own. And with this late of a boss, it could easily turn into a death push into the core.
Yeah, they really want to make sure that they can try to get a keep out of this to at least match the positioning that we have for compLexity. They've already carved themselves out, so we see the boss goes uncontested as we expected to see. There's just not enough representation between Malfurion and Nazeebo to try to stop that boss push. It makes a lot of sense, but what is going to happen now? They have red web weavers pushing on top of this boss. Things all of a sudden got very scary for compLexity.
This is so much siege onto compLexity now. A boss to start working on this top keep. It's already low. It's completely exposed thanks to all of the web weaver pressure, and look how much damage it's doing to it.
They're not going to be able to stop this, especially with Sylvanas moving forward. We have the boss still at more than half HP. All the members are back up for compLexity. This is their last stand. They have to put enough pressure onto Cloud9 to get them to back up the wall. It's not going to be enough. We have 25% left on this Golem, the Entomb. We have the bolts being forced to use very early. The Ravenous Spirit being thrown from the Hall of Storms. Are they going to be able to push Cloud9 back? They have the shields taken down on the core. core. I don't know if they have enough damage to make this through. 77%. The core is falling very quickly. Bolts of the Storm are being used from Cloud9. They're looking to try to split up their pressure so that they can get this core down. It looks as though they will be able to do it. We see Zagara gets taken out at the last second. Uther, K1 Pro, yes, they have done it, and they will be able to take this core out. That is going to be a Game 1 victory for Cloud9.
What a fantastic showing by Cloud9. It looked a little dicey for them in the middle of the game. compLexity looked like they could almost bring it back, but no. That one decisive fight, going straight up, rotating up to that boss, and then grabbing that, marching all the way through to the core. It was a fantastic job by them.
Yeah, that's, you put it well. It was very dicey for them, but what it came down to, it felt like at the end, it was the confidence to move forward. They knew the exact advantage that they have. And compLexity, sometimes it felt like they were a little bit too complacent. They just weren't quite sure if they had enough to move forward to take more of an advantage. Jake, tell me a little bit about what you saw in that game.
It was so back and forth. We just saw the first keep actually went the way of compLexity. They got that late game turned into 60 gems from Murden, getting them the web weavers, but in the end, like you said, they were a little bit too passive, not really capitalizing as much as they might have been able to. So Cloud9, they fought back with a vengeance here in the late game. We can see this one big team fight to turn it all around. The Maw goes down, setting it up, and we just see Cloud9 getting the better end. The trades sustain that they have with that Uther, even when he dies with Redemption, so much power on the hero. Incredibly low here. Doctrine still standing, goes down, but the Ghost getting the value that they need to fight back, get the control over this middle. The Entomb goes down, forcing out that bolt from Nazeebo, and with this, they force them off the point. They control the turn-ins, they go up, they grab a boss, and from there, they had the victory in the game.
Yeah, everything was really about the control. It played such a huge factor in that game, and we saw that Abathur just wasn't able to put on enough of that compared to what we saw from Zagara and Sylvanas. Now, we saw in the middle of that game that the Twitter poll was about split half and half, so we need you guys to get out there to represent your team. Use the hashtag HeroesWC and the hashtag of your favorite team so that you can vote and represent for them.
And don't forget to check out our website for all the information on this tournament. It's heroesofthestorm.com/esports. You can find everything you need to know right there.
Okay, so we are going to throw to a quick commercial break before we get into game number 2, but we actually got a chance to talk to compLexity to find out what their team strengths were, and let's take a look at that.
Well, we have Caterpillar, who's our shot caller, who's, I think, really, really good at Johanna, and he's always calm and collected under pressure. He's like the rock that holds the team together. Then we have Hans, who's kind of the opposite of that. He really gets us going when we need to go. He's our hype man. He's absolutely sick at Kaeyoh, and I think in this next patch he's going to get even better. Trummel is just a mechanically gifted player. You can count on him to win a one-on-one 9 out of 10 times. And then Jaximus is kind of like a breakout in-your-face melee assassin. Has a really, really great attitude and is just mechanically gifted.
I think for my teammates, every single one of them can play like at least 3 to 4 heroes extremely well.
Van controls the macro rotations of the team, strategy about timings, when to go for map objectives, when to get mercenaries.
There's Dunk Train. He helps a lot with draft. He knows what heroes are good against other heroes.
K1, who's the playmaker. We always joke that we never know where K1 is because he's never on our screen. He's always trying to make the big plays.
They're all very strong mechanical players. They're all very smart players as well.
Caffeine is basically the rock.
He's definitely the best tank player in NA, if not the world.
Any of the heroes that don't quite fit under anyone else's purview, they end up in Dream's hands.
Really strong teammates overall who really like to win.
One damage away from victory, they bring in Matter Bomber to seal the deal.
Now this guy really loves dynamite, Jim.
But it doesn't look like it loves him, Bob. He's blown up his own team.
5 for 5, though.
Hearthstone, play it free, rated T.
The grand return of Annoyatron, and Bob, I wish it would end right now.
So this guy doesn't have a sword or anything? He's just, like, annoying?
Like looking in a mirror, isn't it, Bob?
Oh, this doesn't look good.
Like you in a mirror?
That's Hearthstone.
Play it free.
Rated T.
Welcome back, everyone. We find ourselves in the middle of a series between Cloud9 and compLexity, a very, very close game number 1. Cloud9 finds themselves up 1-0, so compLexity is going to have to battle back. And we saw that in the first upper bracket semifinals, MURLOC Geniuses was not able to secure themselves that really strong spot moving forward. But is compLexity going to be able to change their fate up against the other Titan, Cloud9?
Well, you know, compLexity has yet to qualify. Cloud9 have already qualified.
That's right,
They did so last month. But compLexity has been so close every single qualifier. 3rd place in June. 4th place in July, just one spot away of being able to qualify. So I know they really want to get that. They have a new player in Jaximus, and they really want to be able to pick up one of those spots and go to Vegas next month.
And they're looking better than ever with Jaximus, but once again, guys, let us know who you want to see advance. We do, in fact, have the Twitter poll going. You can use the hashtag HeroesWC in either compLexity or Cloud9 over on Twitter.
That's right, so make sure you guys get your votes in to represent for your favorite team. But without further ado, let's get into that draft for game number 2 to see what compLexity's response is going to be. The battleground, it's going to be Sky Temple.
Well, we've seen it a whole bunch already this weekend, so no surprise there. And our first ban, look at that, guys, another Johanna ban. What do you think of that?
That's right, Johanna taken out once more. Teams have really seemingly making sure that that's not something in there, whether it has to do with Asmodan, they just feel that she's a strong warrior. Either way, it seems to be more commonplace than we've seen previously.
Yeah, if you think about a lot of the changes that have been made to the game, there's not like one attributing factor that's making Johanna more desirable to ban, in my opinion, but still, she's such a rock-solid hero, and the plays can be made. I mean, Caffeine, you put him on Johanna, he will just disrupt you for days.
Yeah, she has so much crowd control. She's got slows, she's got stuns, she's got displacement. So it makes a lot of sense that they would want to make sure that Cloud9 does not pick her up. But Zeratul similarly going to be banned here. No Zeratul once again for Jaximus.
Okay, but compLexity on the other side with their first pick, they are going to grab the Kaeyoh. They feel as though it is, a strong asset to their team. Is it going to work out this time? Perhaps not. Maybe we'll need to see some changes. Are we going to see that coveted Pyroblast? I would love it.
Oh my gosh.
It has more range in this patch, and it would be such an awesome thing to see.
I mean, a heroic that powerful with a 60-second cooldown, it's hard to deny the power that exists, especially now it's so much more viable with the increased range that they grabbed it, that they gave it for its cast time. Now, Kaeyoh picked up, but they're going to respond with Zagara, very popular hero right now.
Absolutely. Zagara, we saw the power of Zagara in the last game. The vision that she gives is so good. She has very strong lane presence, and she's a great duelist too. 1v1, very difficult to go up against Zagara. And with Sky Temple, it's so nice to be able to just put her in the bottom lane and kind of leave her there to her own devices. But Cloud9 also going to grab Leoric, so that's their second pick before the next ban phase.
These two heroes have been put together so much by many, many different teams, and we're really starting to see the power of the Maw. If those huge Maws hit multiple heroes inside and you just threw that Entomb down immediately afterwards, it can be nightmares for teams to get out of that, and it has done wonders for Cloud9, so I fully expect to see that to be the type of strategy that we're looking at.
Leoric in general has seen some awesome play today, whether it comes to like setting up awesome combos for your team to take out your opponents or retreats. I mean, we saw devastating Entombs in the last game alone.
Indeed we did.
Oh.
Yeah, Maw into the Entombs, but compLexity seem to have a different response. They're still going to go with Abathur, so he's going to be here. Muradin will be joining their ranks, and now we're going into the next ban phase. No more, once again, no Illidan, but Sylvanas this time going to be banned by compLexity.
Yeah, it's going to take that out, and Sylvanas did a lot of damage in the last game, especially when you compared that, you put the two together with Zagara. It felt like those pushes were impossible to stop, and it gave Cloud9 a great edge moving into that late game. So they're going to be making sure they're taking her out. And Cloud9 once again is taking away that Illidan. They are just do not want to deal with the Abathur Illidan combination.
Coops, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, Illidan's a hero that has seen quite a few changes. He no longer has the unstoppable while he's dashing forward. Do Do you think he's at all worth banning here? Do you think it's the respect just of the playstyle of complexity or what?
I find it interesting because if we go back to the previous patch, when we started, there was a point in time where we saw a lot of Abathur, right? It was starting to be picked up, and Illidan wasn't being grabbed with it. And if we're looking for a time where you want to play Illidan, it's when the cleanse was acting the way it did. You could just throw the pre-cleanse down. But now with this cleanse chain, I would argue that Illidan has gotten worse. So I find it very peculiar that Cloud9 has opted to make sure that they're just putting their statement down, like no Illidan, not with Abathur.
Maybe it's something to do with the show match that we saw between Cloud9 and Cog earlier this week, because
that's
Cog
true.
did run Illidan.
That's true.
And Cloud9 did lose that show match, so maybe it's just that they don't even want to deal with Illidan, but they do want to pick up Uther, so they're going to grab their support here, and I believe they have one more pick here.
Yes, they do, and Uther seems to have been the strong pick. All right, so Uther paired up with Tyrande. There's a lot of damage.
They're set up for a melee assassin.
Yes,
now,
they are.
It's not guaranteed by any means, but Tyrande, Uther, Divine Shield, the Luna Flare Hunter's Mark combo, all paired with someone like Butcher or Kerrigan, can really tear through your opponents, but Kerrigan is taken away.
Are we going to get the battle of the melee assassins? That would be a sight to see. Now, you got to keep in mind, for Cloud9, we're talking about Fan. Fan has made a name for himself with these melee assassins. It would probably have to be Butcher at this point, I would think. Okay, so they are going to go for the Nazeebo. They're going to pair that up. So we've seen these two heroes together quite often, especially Zagara, the Maw, everything. Especially those three, Leoric, Zagara, and Nazeebo, they pair so well together.
So Cloud9 really has the lane presence with that Zagara and Nazeebo once again. So that's something that Abathur seemed to have difficulty with in the last game. Do you think maybe because we see the Abathur and the Kerrigan this time, we're going to see less of a Toxic Nest, backdoor pushing build, and more of maybe the old style of like Adrenal Overload, more focusing on being able to amplify the damage and healing of those melee assassins? I
would agree a little bit more if they had more auto attack oriented hero, but since Kerrigan doesn't really rely so much on that, I do find it a bit interesting. So I'm not sure what the play is going to be in terms of who they're going to copy if they go for the ultimate evolution. We're only going to have to find out, but it is a better map if they want to go for the evolved monstrosity to have that split push. Sky Temple is a huge battleground for that sense.
Yeah, and Abathur's just great in general, like outside of team fighting on this battleground. Abathur does have the Mule. You can grab Mule at level 7 to help sustain your structures. He can actually throw his Locust, of course, his Symbiote on top of one of your towers to shield it briefly, soaking up some of the damage. And on top of it, the Nest. We've seen the Locust Nest really have additional priority with the talents in this patch. And as soon as you start spreading those all around the temples, well, it can really add up the amount of damage they do.
You mentioned the Mule, and we also have the possibility of a Mule on the other side too with Tyrande. So that's something that we could have on both sides. It's a battleground that teams typically do prioritize Mule a lot on because of the damage that you just can't mitigate by the temples.
Yeah, we have seen Mule have a very, very large effect in some of the games that have been played on Sky Temple earlier today, especially where there's a Mule on one side and not on the other. It has played a massive factor into having control of the temples and how much effectiveness they are actually going to have. So before we get into this game, I actually want to ask you guys both, who do you think won these drafts? Gilly, we'll start with you.
Man, I'm going to go with Cloud9. I really like the Nazeebo and the Zagara together. I love the fact that they got Tyrande too. She's going to be able to amplify the damage that they're putting out, and it's going to make it very difficult to have to be able to stay on those shrines in the temples.
All right, Jake?
I think Cloud9's is probably the easier to execute. You think about the double specialists, you think about the amount of poke they have in the late game, but if complexity can win the early game, they're going all the way. The power that exists with Kerrigan diving in with a Ravage, then the combo, following up with something like Gravity Lapse, maybe even the Stormbolt on Muradin, it's so strong. They get Zagara caught out in one step out of line. She's done.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. Kerrigan has seen a lot of changes in this last patch, particularly a lot of changes to the assimilation, that being her trait and the shields that she can generate off of that, with new talents at level 7 for more regen, and 13 and 16 have both been boosted up a little bit. She has more utility on her pull-in, her Primal Grasp, so we're seeing a lot more Kerrigan play, and it has been very, very effective.
Well, it looks like we are ready for the game, so let's see if complexity can bring it back versus Cloud9. Complexity will be in the blue with Blinks playing Rhaegar, Caterpillar on Muradin, Hans playing that Abathur, Jaximus on Kerrigan, and playing Kael'thas will be Trummel.
And on the right side of the map for Cloud9, they find themselves up 1-0 already in the series. So close to getting to that upper bracket finals. We're going to have Dunk Train on the Uther. Fan will be playing the Nazebo this time. King Caffeine will be on the Leoric. iDream playing Zagara, and K1 Pro rounding it out on the Tyrande.
Now, in the bottom lane, we already see Zagara for Cloud9. Of course, you love to have Zagara in there. I mentioned it before, you can kind of leave her down there, and it's really tough for a team to deal with if they don't have somebody with equal lane presence, because she's so good at 1v1. She's got the vision. She's prepping the lane for the second temple phase, which is that bottom one.
Yeah, we need to see a certain amount of damage being put out from Zagara before that second temple lane pops up. And, you know, of course, they need to be able to make sure that they can occupy that spot. It depends. Sometimes the first set of temples actually stall out long enough so that level 10 is hit for both sides, in which case that's really going to go a long ways to change things up. We might even see more zone control with Phoenix, which can have a massive impact on who is going to end up taking that temple.
Well, it looks like you were correct, and so far we have a Toxic Nest pickup for Abathur at level 1. So we are going to have him looking to slow down and even give them more vision with those Toxic Nests. But I really like siphoning impact for Kerrigan here, not going for the extra damage on her her impaling blades. Instead, she's going to be able to get a little bit of a heal whenever she hits a hero with that.
That's right. So the question is, early on, King Caffeine has to be quite careful there. With the Abathur hat, that could be quite scary. Actually, we see Caterpillar leaping forward. Can't throw down that Stormbolt thanks to the creep wave that was moving forward. So a very close call for Caffeine.
Now the first Temples phase has begun. It's top and mid. We'll see where the teams choose to make their stand. For now, up top, it's going to be held by Cloud9. In the mid, it's all about compLexity here. They've got Kerrigan very far forward here, also trying to deal some damage to structures where she can, or at least keep the rotations from happening, but it looks like it could be an issue.
Splitting the temples for the time being. King Caffeine actually manages to dodge a combo from Jacksonville being played. Or playing Kerrigan, excuse me, and this might actually be both temples going the way. We see Caterpillar backing up a little bit. He's at half health and is going to lose quite a bit more if that Drain Hope completely connects. Are they going to try to peel for him? He tries to bounce back with another Stormbolt, but actually we see the combo connecting. Are they going to be able to do enough damage? Level 4 is hit. Probably can assume that that Hardened Bones was picked up, considering how little damage he took during that Wraith Walk.
That was a really fantastic zombie wall too, zoning so that the Wraith Walk went over it, and that way they couldn't really chase in toward him and try to continue to take him out. But we do have the Temple phase ending, mostly a trade here, but I think it went a little bit more in favor of Cloud9.
Yeah, a slight experience lead at this point. Zagara still doing a great job in the bottom lane, realizing that she did not need to rotate up and just continuing to put that pressure forward, draining so much of the ammunition out of those towers, and it's just going to set themselves up very well. A great dodge from iDream just to make sure that that rotation wasn't successful.
Yeah, that creep has been so useful in stopping that, the rotation there. She instantly, Zagara could run away from that, and now we do have level 4 talents being shown here. Anything interesting that you see? Oh,
we have another, Ravage talent picked up, and C9 Fan, is he going to get picked off very early? Yes, Nazebo is going to get punished. And Trummel, actually, the rotation says one being taken out on either side. Jacksmith is going to be able to get out? No! And it looks as though it's going to be a 2-for-1 advantage for Cloud9. I don't think they're going to be able to catch up to Caterpillar at this point, but they continue. We didn't even have the Giants picked up throughout all of that, and we see the Cloud9 is rewarded with that. They started it, they're going to finish it.
And this is a good push that they're going to have on bottom. They already had the Zagara here. They had the lane push far forward. They've got the Giants now too, and they're going to start working on trying to get some damage done to those structures. If they can do that, then they can pick up the next temple and maybe even get a fort off of it.
There's the mule that we were talking about during the draft. Tyrande has scooped it up at level 7, so not trying to grab the extra range on the Lunar Flare, deciding it's not really necessary, especially considering they have Nazebo on their side. Also, we have the Cleanse picked up for Uther.
Yeah, it looks like it is enough of an issue, the Kerrigan, the Muradin,
for
the
sure.
Kaeyoh, that they want to make sure that they can get somebody out of those stuns and that crowd control. Level 7 also being picked up by compLexity, a full Stormbolt build for Muradin once again, and a Mule for Abathur. So giving up the Toxic Nest slow in favor of being able to have that structure heal.
Both teams looking to pick up some mercenary camps just before these temples spawn. Cloud9 is well aware that compLexity is trying to grab this. They're not going to be able to rotate down in enough time, but we see, look at this, iDream is already well set up, has the creep spread onto this. Trouble looking to try to go down. Is he going to end up taking too much damage from this? And actually he gets isolated. The team didn't rotate down fast enough, and we are going to see Zagara get taken out. Does this mean that they have to back up completely? Are they going to try to contest? I'm not sure they can.
That was a fantastic flank by compLexity coming in, being able to take out the Zagara here, and now compLexity in full control of this temple, being able to save their structures, which have been under basically constant siege from the Cigar down and bottom. And with this, they're slowly evening up their experience lead too.
Yeah, not only that, but they're pushing back this creep. They're gaining control of this territory for the time being. Jackson is just waiting and actually gets tagged by the Sentinel, so very well placed. Just trying to make sure they're keeping tabs on the rotation. And the pull, is it going to be enough to get Trummel out? Yes, it looks as though he will be able to back up. Uther not taking too much damage. Dunk Train, is he going to be able to get himself the protective shield at the last second? He does end up falling. Does have the Ghost to provide a little bit of support for the team if they want to try to retaliate. I don't think they're going to be able to do just that. Cattle waiting is able to dwarf toss over that wall. An excellent play. We do actually have Kerrigan that also fell at the very last moment.
All this time, Abathur has been up top soaking, but he's also having to deal with a push from the Bruisers as well. And this push in bottom too, this is a lot of structure damage now being dealt by Cloud9. They've got the towers up top like you saw. They're now taking out the towers in bottom, and they are not stopping this push. They're so close to their heroic abilities. Is compLexity going to be able to push them back?
Yes, this could get very dicey for either team, especially if there's an overextension from Cloud9 and compLexity is able to pick up their heroics before then. Don't think it's going to be an issue. Yes, Cloud9 realizes that could be a very big problem. We're going to back up. We're not going to get overextended at this point.
Well, there are the heroic abilities for compLexity. They've got Maelstrom, Avatar, Ultimate Evolution, the Phoenix, and the Ancestral Healing. So very standard pickups there. And it's going to be nice to be able to have the Ancestral Healing with that Maelstrom.
Okay, Dunk Train just continuing to get some soak in the top lane. See some heroes rotating down for Cloud9 in the mid. They're just trying to make sure they can get these Giants.
Now, Cloud9 has to be very conscious of the fact that compLexity, Abathur can sit in whatever lane they are not in, especially like we saw with the last temple. There was only one temple, so Abathur, they knew that they were going to be able to, all of the members of Cloud9 would be bottom, so Abathur can be very far forward in the lane up top. So they just have to be really cognizant of the fact that he will be constantly trying to soak and push, trying to put on a lot of pressure in whatever lane is furthest away from Cloud9.
All the heroics have been picked up. We're not actually going to see that evolved monstrosity. Instead, it will be the ultimate evolution. We're still waiting for the pick. Okay, it is going to be the Ravenous Spirit for Nazeebo on the side of Cloud9. We have the Divine Shield and Tomb Maw, like we were expecting to see to pair together.
And now the push once again being staved off by compLexity. So they're doing a really good job of holding this bottom lane, but now the temples are spawning. We've got two. We're going to have mid, we're going to have bottom two. Jaximus moving in, Caffeine going to be able to Wraith Walk away here. And what do you think we're going to see? You think we'll see them just try to trade out or go for maybe a team fight at one of them?
Well, trades at this point are going to absolutely be in favor. Well, I was going to say we don't actually have that split on the mule. Both teams have that, so I would say it's definitely going to be in favor of Cloud9, considering how much better their push is at this point. We haven't quite developed that full, Locust strategy thus far for Abathur. That's not until 13 and 16. We see the start of a fight. The Divine Shield is going to be a great tool. Hans is actually going to get locked out. He is the Just a Clone. Just keep that in mind. The Ravenous Spirit doing a lot of work. Jaximus is going to get pushed back. Caffeine trying to get to the back line. Cattle doesn't get the pull. Is there? And I think they're going to be able to get this takedown. Yes, the Orc is going to fall, but not before a two-person Maw gets hit. Is there going to be enough of a follow-up? Do they get a takedown? Kerrigan so close to falling, does not get the assimilation off to stay alive in that fight. iDream now under a bit of pressure. Cattle does not have enough mana to dwarf toss. Oh, do we see a two-person stun followed up with a zombie wall? Is this going to be enough to get two more takedowns? Yes, Blake's barely escaping. Almost a complete team wipe.
Oh, so many members were low for Cloud9, but they were able to rotate in fantastically and take down 3 members of compLexity, now holding this temple. This also means that they can go to the bottom temple. They don't have to worry about a full team from compLexity trying to deal with them for another 10 seconds.
Yes, what was such a close game at that point. Now all of a sudden shifting in favor. We see iDream rotating to the top lane, just trying to get control. I'm surprised that they didn't want to try to occupy both of these temples at the same time. Caffeine looking to rotate back. Lynx now between a rock and a hard place is going to be retreating. Not sure where the rest of the members of Cloud9 are.
I guess maybe because there were only a few shots left, they were okay with kind of just giving those shots away in favor of not getting taken out, being overextended. They've now got a good experience lead. They've picked up 13, and we've got a rotation, though. An instant Divine Shield on Uther, trying to get away, but the Gravity Lapse will pick him up. All the members of compLexity here trying to take out Dunk Train. The Flame Strike won't be enough, neither will the Phoenix. Dunk Train escapes.
So many heroics spent just in favor of also that Divine Shield. He is going to be able to back up a very, very important play that Dunk Train was able to make there. He is able to escape. The remaining shots of this temple will go in the favor of compLexity. Are they going to be able to get? Yes, Cattle will be able to back out, but not before getting a stun over the wall. Whoa! Look at the positioning of that Entomb. They're not going to be able to follow up. Brilliant play from Caffeine. Unfortunately, we just need to follow up on that, but Man, what a close game so far.
Yes, it looks much better for compLexity this time around. That was an amazing in-tune, though, from Leoric. Some cool plays that we've seen over that wall before, even in the last Open 2. But we've got level 13 here being picked up. Eviscerate for Kerrigan. She's going to be able to ravage from further away. Any other interesting picks that you see?
Well, I mean, you always have to talk about Kaeyoh. This is where it really starts to pick up that momentum. He has the Living Bomb upgrades, the Chain Bomb at 13. He gets quite a bit scary. That means the positioning has to be quite a bit better. Zagara gets pulled in. Is it going to get locked down? That means another takedown. We are going to see the Mercenary Camp picked up in the top right, but I don't think that is a good trade at all.
Oh, definitely not. Zagara down for 30 more seconds here. And what does that mean? compLexity goes straight for boss. We've got actually the Bruisers abandoned here from Cloud9.
Yes.
There is the Sentinel. They know for sure. Will compLexity leash this?
This is, wow, what? Is this going to be an overextension from compLexity? This is so scary. Yes, they have the hero advantage for a short time, but Zagara's back up in another 5 seconds. They know how much of a potential they could throw if they're not able to take this boss fast enough, and they do back off.
I like that play. They've got a good push already here on bottom. The Mule, though, is helping keep that fort alive. Looking at this, the structure lead is very much in advantage of Cloud9. Their Mule has been working overtime because they still have all of their forts up. Only one remains here for compLexity.
Caffeine just trying to make sure to move forward. Scout wants to see if compLexity is trying anything cheeky, like trying to grab the boss out from underneath them. And the creep has been doing such a good job providing vision for that. They are able to actually rotate up to the mid lane, take this fort out while the Bruisers are being picked up on Cloud9's side. Not before we are going to see 2 temples spawning in the top and the bottom side of this battleground.
This is pretty tricky for compLexity too, because Cloud9 are oh so close to the level 16 talents, but there's 2 temples, so they really have to look at some tough decisions, especially with the fact that the bottom temple is closer to that boss. For now, they're going to grab their Bruisers, try to put on some counter pressure. The Bruisers already picked up by Cloud9, but Cloud9 I think are going to be looking for a fight. It might even be a boss here.
They have level 16, so that advantage is definitely a fort to them. They are going for the boss. I think that compLexity is smelling this. They are moving down. They have the Hound Dog nose. They're going in. They have the boss down to half health. Are they going to commit? With Abathur so far away.
Uther isn't here. He's on the bottom temple. Yeah, so Cloud9 is, I'm not sure. They've got to bring Uther up here. He absolutely has to come up here. Hans and Jacksonus are on the chase, though. But the Ice Block into the Devouring Maw, and Nazeebo gets away into Ravenous Spirit, and Kerrigan will fall, as will the Abathur clone. It's on top of the cap point now, too, and Rhaegar even will fall now. Cattle trying to stay alive on the cap point. He's going to go down. The boss secured by Cloud9.
That was an incredible play. We saw the Maw exactly reversing that situation right after the Ice Block. I saw it. I was like, there's no way he's going to be able to survive this. But as soon as that was thrown down, the Maw in a great position, and that just set up so well for the Ravenous Spirit to just move forward and completely take out compLexity once again. Now they have a boss, multiple temples spawning. And if you would ask me before all that happened, trades are in favor of Cloud9 at this point, but they're going to get much more than that.
Oh, it's so incredibly frustrating for compLexity. They lost that battle and then got 16, and now a boss is pushing in on a keep. Uther and Nazeebo are holding tempos because members of compLexity have to respond to this boss as they pop up. They've still got Kaeyoh down.
Yeah, and even again, the Abathur just feels like is not able to get enough done. We have to keep falling in the bottom lane with both of these temples. They are going to do a lot of work on the remaining keeps. And you know what? I agree with you guys at this point in time. Cloud9 does look like they are the favorites to take this with some phenomenal play and turnarounds.
They're even feeling as so far confident to pick up the Giants there. They're going to move over and get more of them. They've finished the bottom temple. The top temple is nearly done too. They're working on that top keep directly, but so far 2 keeps remaining. I don't think, it's going to be enough. So we still have 2 keeps, and this one can be healed up. compLexity do have the Mule.
Yes, they do. But the important story that we have to highlight right now is how close Cloud9 is to level 20, the Storm talents. We've seen them have huge impacts on the fights in some of the previous games, and that is going to be something that compLexity is scared of. Not for the reason, yes, the Storm talents are strong, but they're so far away from having their own. They're at level 17, and what was a really close game, Cloud9 is starting to run away.
Yeah, with that one fight.
I know.
That one boss pickup, Cloud9 was able to get this far ahead because of the boss, because of the structures, because of the temples. It's all about the timing, and Cloud9 was able to secure that, and now compLexity are very much on the back foot.
Once more, we see that mark of the really seasoned teams. They know that this is the point where they just need to soak. Cloud9 does not need to take any risks right now, not until they have level 20. There's going to be a lot of Bolts of the Storm available. Is this going to be a Leoric overextension? I don't think so. The Hardened Bone's really going to work, making sure that Caffeine is able to stay alive with that Wraith Walk. and just in time for the Storm talents.
There they are, and we're very close to it as they're going to soak. Caffeine's going to go back and heal back up. It was a little too close for comfort for them. And I just can't. The Abathur is having such a difficult time trying to get any sort of lane presence.
There it is, level 20. The Storm talents have been acquired for Cloud9. We're going to see the redemption, no surprise there. The hardened shield for Leoric. There's the bolts of the Storm we're talking about. Is it going to be a rewind? Is it a Storm shield for Toronto? There is the rewind. So much more potential for Cloud9, and compLexity has to respect this.
More stuns, more mobility, and a more difficult time for compLexity to try to take down Cloud9. Cloud9 are ready to look for an engagement. They've got their 20. They know if they can get a really, really favorable team fight, they could just push to core.
This puts compLexity in such an awkward position. They know that things are on a timer, especially with this next temple wave spawning. If they wait too long, their structures are going to end up falling, but they can't take a fight right now. They don't have the Storm talents to match.
Yeah, it's an impossible position that Cloud9 has put compLexity into, and Cloud9 are completely fine with just sitting here, forcing compLexity to move into them, where then they will be the ones to get what is the Devouring Maw into the Ravenous Spirit. It's so incredibly scary.
Even while all this time has passed, we're still a level and a half away for compLexity to grab their Storm talents. Hans on the Abathur clones trying to put some pressure on. We see the Divine Shield is going to be able to get iDream out of there, but no, we have a Fallen Uther. Keep in mind, he does have that redemption. Caffeine with the wall. The Ravenous Spirit is going to be able to take out that clone. Jaxmus is now in trouble. Gets the Ancestral Healing at the last second. Caterpillar trying to provide that peel for his team. Dunk Train has res from that. Has to be careful with his health. He's going to get stunned out. Does he have enough heals to get back out? We see the Flame Strike. Is it going to be enough? They're on the chase. They're trying to put the pressure onto Blinks, and he is going to end up falling. No, hold on a second, gets the heal. That's 2 members down. We see the Dunk Train is back up. The forward bolt is going to get the zombie wall. Are they going to be able to follow this up?
Caffeine is on the chase. There is the slow from Skeletal Swing, and with the iDreams trying, Kerrigan will file. iDream is still on the chase with that Mutalisk. Turmoil is so low, but they're going to stop chasing. They're going after the core.
Yeah, I would think so.
They're going to go right past it. Still 50 seconds until Kerrigan is up. They're taking down the structures. The core will fall, and this is going to be a second game in a row win for Cloud9. compLexity, they tried, but it's Cloud9 all the way, and they're going to be moving on to face Tempo Storm in the next round of the bracket.
The gatekeepers are reigning supreme here, it would seem. Both of these teams in the upper bracket semifinals that have already qualified are now moving on to the upper bracket finals, where we are going to see a very highly contested rematch between Cloud9 and Tempo Storm. And congratulations to Cloud9 for taking that 2-0 victory.
It's a pretty decisive play, I gotta say.
Oh yeah.
At Cloud9, I mean, very strong matchup here. I mean, compLexity, they showed why they are arguably the number 3, number 4 team in North America, but in the end, they weren't able to do it. I actually would like to highlight a big moment where they picked up that boss. I mean, really,
how could you not?
Yes.
Everything just looks so strong there. So let's jump right on in to the replay where we can see this all unfold. So you can see the moment here. It all starts with this maw. You saw 2 targets going to the maw. Look at the location on Fan here down in the bottom. That's our target. He's real shiny in this moment, but it's going to be all right. He's going to be okay. So let's just actually move on ahead, and we can see. As soon as the maw expires, the Ravenous is there in an instant, and it's doing massive damage. And it goes right over to the boss where they're standing on the point. They force off compLexity. They steal the boss here, destroying Cattle. They get the 2 takedowns. They pick up the boss, and really from here, the momentum just swings so far in their favor. Everything in this game has been dead even until that point, and they went on to get like a 2-level lead, and it was their game from there on forward.
I could not believe how well they were able to turn that fight around. The maw was just incredible. The ice block timing. I don't know if I've ever seen better ice block timing to turn a complete fight around like that, just completely on its head. They were able to move back and take that boss just so well executed. Cloud9 has really been impressing me with some of these plays today.
Yeah, all of the timings have been absolutely superb for Cloud9, as well as the rotations that they've had too. So, what do you think of Cloud9 moving in now to Tempo Storm? Because Tempo Storm has always been looking infallible, right? Yep. But since our last July Open, Cloud9 they've been able to take a series off of them.
It's not even that. It's Tempostorm that has shown weakness. They actually lost a series to compLexity during this last month, and they did lose a tournament to Cloud9.
Yes.
So that's a big deal. They've shown that there is weakness. Tempostorm is in fact mortal, and if there's a time for them to fall, well, Cloud9, they want to make that this event.
And both teams, I would say, have been playing incredibly thus far. And, we're talking about this sort of perceived weakness from both of the teams, but I would say that they're both very much on their A+ game thus far, so I cannot wait to see that upper bracket finals. We're actually going to take a little bit of a look at the tournament schedule, if we will. I think we're going to be moving to the lower bracket, where we're going to see some of those games of Kappa Wolves moving forward, and hopefully Luminosity.
Actually, yeah, we only have one match left today, and it's Luminosity versus Cognitive. Luminosity is ready for battle. They will, in fact, be playing. Now, Luminosity, unfortunately, did have to forfeit their match in the upper bracket because of a player not having power. And we're actually in the process of trying to get that all figured out right now. We were going to try to talk to them, but you know what? They're so focused on getting this battle ready.
I know. They were talking about having some of those, morality speeches going forward. It's like you need to get your team moving forward. Now's the time to make sure that you have those speeches in lock, because falling to the lower bracket like that due to some technical issues, it never feels good. So you need to get that morale moving forward.
What kind of mindset do you think that they are in, having to forfeit that, constantly trying to get here so that they can even participate in the tournament?
They've got nothing to lose at this point. They unfortunately had a forfeit, but they managed to get the power back up in their house. They're able to keep playing forward here, and they've got nothing to lose. Now, it's a tall order because they're up against Cognitive. Cognitive has already qualified, and they've already stated that they're here to crush the dreams of nerds. So.
Yes. Very, very strong team. We'll see what they can do in that next series between Cognitive and Luminosity. We're going to check out a video from Cognitive to see what they think of their biggest supporters.
My biggest supporters have to be my parents. They've supported me in everything I've done from when I was young to right now. But I also want to thank my friends because they have been there for me for the past couple years.
I'd say my parents, specifically my dad, is my biggest supporter. Whenever I have an issue, I can always go to him.
So I think my biggest supporters outside of my teammates are my family, of course. I also have the other competitive players that I've been close friends with, the ones that I've been on teams with, or ones I've just been friends with since the beginning of the game, and also all the loyal viewers that come in and watch me and my teammates stream on Twitch.
All of my family has been super supportive. My parents even watched the July Open when we qualified, so they seem to grasp the game a little bit.